Good morning, children. Children, I hope you have watched the animated video of the chapter The Tree Spirit. Now, in this video, I'll explain the story to you. Now, the story The Tree Spirit is a folk tale. What do you mean by folk tale, children? What do we mean by folk tale? By folk tale, we mean a story related to any particular place, a group of people with a local touch of that particular time. And as it is given in your book that a tale that has been told over many years is called a folk tale. So basically, it's a story related to any particular place, a group of people with a local touch of that particular time. Now children, The Tree Spirit is a story about a king and a tree spirit. So once upon a time, a king wanted to build a grand and a beautiful palace for himself. But he wanted it to be supported by a single tall and strong pillar. And he wanted that this tall pillar should be made of what? It should be made of wood in the center. So the king called his ministers and ordered him to cut the biggest and the strongest tree from the forest. But the foresters which were sent by minister returned empty-handed. They told the minister that it was impossible to carry the huge tree from the forest to the city. The minister then sent them to the city park to look for one such huge tree as it was the king's order. Now one such tree was found, but it had a spirit resided in it. What do we mean by spirit, children? A spirit is an imaginary creature such as a fairy or an elf. Okay? Now the people requested the foresters to spare the tree as it was the home for many creatures and a wise spirit. The king's men carried the order and requested the spirit to leave the tree within 7 days. Now the spirit decided to speak to the king itself. And that particular night, it visited the king in his dream and requested him to spare the tree. The king was not ready to change his decision as it was the only tree which can support the king's new palace. The spirit was sad and asked king to cut it in 3 parts, starting with green part and ending with the trunk. The king then asked the spirit for such wish as it would mean to suffer more or thrice. Now the reason of this wish of spirit was to save the younger trees surrounded by this tree. Now after hearing this, the king was very touched by this thing, and he thought that if a spirit was so thoughtful about others, why can't be I? So there and then he changed his decision to cut tree and decided to make the column of his palace built with stones. Now this story leaves us with a message. And what's the message? That one should not be selfish. One should always think of the well-being of others. Good will await us. So children, try to follow the message that this story conveys. I hope you have understood the story. Thank you, children.